It's clear that Joe Milton has a big arm and athleticism, a quote from the New England Patriots head coach, Jerod Mayo. But we all know it takes more than just one good game to make it in the NFL. Joe Milton played his first preseason NFL game just a few days ago, and he probably took a lot of people by surprise. After all, it wasn't long ago where he was the backup quarterback for Michigan. And that's just one of the reasons he has such a great story. I love seeing underdogs end up on top. I mean, who doesn't? Obviously, this is just the start for Joe Milton, but I still love to see guys who are overlooked get their shot. And I don't want to take anything away from Drake May either, because I think they both have a shot to make it in the NFL. But if I'm being honest, I think Joe Milton will end up on top of this QB battle. That's just my opinion. But Joe Milton's path to the NFL was not a straight line. And to understand the rise of Joe Milton and how he even got here in the first place, I think we need to take a step back in time. Joe started making a name for himself at Olympia High School in Orlando, Florida. He was known for having a cannon as an arm in high school, and his dad played college football, so I'm sure this is where he got a lot of his genetics. He was considered a 4-star prospect and was ranked as the 172nd prospect nationally. He quickly caught the attention of college scouts, and by the time he was ready to graduate, he decided to commit to the University of Michigan. He didn't know it at the time, but he was going to have to overcome a lot of adversity if he was going to get a shot to play at the next level. Joe's time at Michigan was filled with ups and downs. In his first 2 years, 2018 and 2019, he played backup to starting quarterback Shea Patterson. Joe got some playing time, but not enough to really show what he could do. He completed a few passes, scored a couple touchdowns, but he didn't really get the opportunity he needed to prove himself. In 2020, things started to change. Joe was in the running to become Michigan's starting quarterback after Shea Patterson left. He competed with another quarterback, Dylan McCaffrey, who is the brother of Christian McCaffrey, but when McCaffrey transferred to another school, Joe became the favorite to start for Michigan. Unfortunately, Michigan's season was shortened to just 6 games due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and it was a tough season for the team. Joe started the first 3 games, but eventually lost playing time to Cade. At least that's the first name of the other quarterback. I still can't pronounce his last name to save my life. Joe finished the season with some solid stats, but it wasn't really the breakout year he had hoped for. He completed 80 of 141 passes for just over 1,000 yards and 4 touchdowns. After the 2020 season, Joe made the difficult decision to transfer to the University of Tennessee, looking for a fresh start and a chance to be the starting quarterback. In 2021, he was named the starter for the Volunteers, but an injury early on in his season allowed Hendon Hooker, another transfer quarterback, to take over. So Joe spent most of his season as a backup, but still had some big moments, including scoring a touchdown against the number 1 ranked Georgia. In 2022, Joe played mostly as a backup to Hooker, who had a fantastic season leading the Volunteers to an 11-2 record. However, when Hooker got injured late in the season, Joe stepped up as the starter. He led Tennessee to a 56-0 win over Vanderbilt, and then played a great game in the Orange Bowl against Clemson, passing for 251 yards and 3 touchdowns, earning the MVP honors that game. I think he really needed those last couple games to build his confidence and to hopefully prove what he was capable of. In 2023, things started to look a little bit better for Milton, and he would have his best season yet. He started all 12 games for Tennessee and led the team to an 8-4 record. He threw for 2,769 yards and 20 touchdowns, and added 6 more rushing touchdowns. One of his standout moments was an 80-yard rushing touchdown, the longest ever by a quarterback in Tennessee's history. And by the end of the season, Joe had proven himself as a strong, capable quarterback. But was he ready to take the next step into the NFL? Well, most teams didn't think so. Even after having a decent combine and getting to show off his arm strength, literally there are clips at the combine where he's throwing 80-yard bombs. Although he proved that he had a cannon of an arm, the big question was accuracy. Would he be able to improve his mid to short passing game? A lot of scouts passed on him for that reason. I guess you could say the Patriots passed on him initially since he was the 2nd quarterback drafted behind Drake May, who was the 3rd pick in the NFL draft. If we fast forward a little bit, Joe was selected by the New England Patriots in the 6th round with the 193rd overall pick. The Patriots had traded away the previous starting quarterback, Mac Jones, and were looking for someone to compete with Drake May, or at the very least be a strong backup. Some reporters have mixed feelings about this and whether he has what it takes to rise as a top quarterback in the NFL. I guess it's kind of too early to tell, but not gonna lie, his performance versus the Panthers backups still got me a little excited. During the game, Joe Milton was a standout, completing 4 of 6 passes for 54 yards, including a 38-yard touchdown, and he also rushed 5 times for 22 yards. And I don't think the stats really paint the whole picture. I mean, if you watched his highlights during that first game, he was scrambling out of the pocket, running all over the field, and still making positive yard plays. Drake Maye, on the other hand, had a quieter night. He didn't play bad by any means. I mean, he had 2 of 3 passes for minimal yardage, both to running backs, and the game conditions were rainy weather, and it was only one game, so you gotta give both of them some time. I thought it would be interesting to get Joe Milton's perspective of the game. Someone asked what his first NFL game was like. Joe Milton said, and I quote, "It's a blessing. My day itself was pretty calm before the storm. Treating it just like any other day," which I think is a good idea. Another reporter asked how much he's progressed since being in the NFL, and he immediately gives credit to the team and notices how much trust he needs to build with the coaches in order to succeed in the NFL. I don't expect that he'll let this one night get to his head, and I hope that he'll continue to improve and hopefully revive a struggling franchise. After all, the last Michigan quarterback to play for New England did a pretty good job. But that's just my opinion. I tend to be overly optimistic, so if you think I'm looking at Joe Milton's situation totally wrong, just let me know. But I can't help but root for him. I don't want to take anything away from Drake Maye. They're both good quarterbacks, but I think Joe Milton might have a higher ceiling after playing the Panthers. And again, if you disagree, just let me know. I believe that Joe Milton still thinks he has a lot of work to do if he wants to rise to be a top NFL quarterback. And I think he's off to a pretty good start. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace!